Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
With veganism on the rise, Generation Vegan interviews the up-and-coming hottest vegans, and in this podcast, we teach you the practical side of having a plant-based diet. Today, we interview Thomas Tadlock, a super buff vegan. It's a great interview with tons of information, so let's just jump in.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on the Generation Vegan podcast. I'm so excited to be here with our speaker today. And he is... Why am I doing this right now, Danny? Get it together. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to make it big. I need to see your face so I can... Okay. You know what? I'm not even going to start my own podcast. I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, the speaker I have the privilege of introducing to you today has been recognized as one of the top 5 trainers in the USA, with his first personal training company winning the Best of Awards 7 years in a row, and his second company becoming the largest indoor fitness boot camp in Orange County, California. He was MTV's 2003 Hottest Body and is currently the host of one of the top vegan fitness podcasts on the internet, the Vegan Body Revolution Show. He has successfully led trainings for thousands of individuals, organizations, and entrepreneurs nationwide, including professional recording artists, models, and entrepreneurs. He is a master trainer for 3 different fitness companies and has been featured on multiple fitness DVDs. I'm so excited because he has also been sought after and has worked with top personal trainers of celebrities like Britney Spears and professional sports teams like Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, to name a few. And he holds a master's degree in exercise science and health promotion and 8 national fitness certifications. He is an inventor and fitness patent holder, creating the world's first patent muscle tempo training system, which we're going to talk more about. And he is internationally recognized as a trainer educator. He has been featured on the front cover of Vegan Health and Fitness magazine and has authored the weight loss program for the fitness equipment company behind the hit show, The Biggest Loser. He is a professional speaker who has shared the stage with the likes of Dr. John Gray, author of the best-selling book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and health gurus like David Wolfe, JJ Virgin, and you all know Will Tittle of the Peace Diet, and many more. Thomas has successfully cracked the code on how to build your muscle and lose body fat with a 100% plant-based diet. He has a mission to help everyone achieve the ultimate body of their dreams. I'm just so honored, blessed, and nervous to have him here. So just everyone, thank you so much. I'm so excited to introduce to you Master Trainer, Mr. Thomas Tadlock. Hello.
Woo. What's going on, everybody? How are you, Danny?
How are you? So I just want to share with everyone that you're my biggest star right now. So I'm just super grateful that you're on the show.
Well, thank you. It's great. It's an honor to be here as well.
Perfect. So I'm just going to jump right into the questions because I'm really excited to get to know you and just your journey of veganism. And I really want to start off with your reason why. And I don't know if you follow Pal Simeon on YouTube, but he talks about the trifecta a lot. Your health, the animals, and the environment, the trifecta. So what leg of the trifecta is your why for becoming vegan?
Well, originally my wife talked me into it. My wife, a lot of people know her. She's the vegan medical doctor. She's the only medical doctor physician out there who had a disease called lupus, and we were able to completely heal it ourselves with nothing but vegan supermarket food. And so we've been on a mission to help as many people do the same since then. But it all started when she was vegan, and she was vegan for ethical reasons. And every time she'd watch me eat any animal product, a piece of meat, drink some dairy, it would hurt her. I could see it absolutely hurt her on the inside. And it was tough for me to watch, but at the same time, I felt that I needed it. I thought I needed the protein so that I could stay fit. Because I was a personal trainer at the time, and I knew I was afraid of if I lost my muscle mass, my strength, I wouldn't be able to be a credible personal trainer, and my business would go down the tubes. So one day, my wife said to me, well, you know what, if there's anybody that could figure out how to build muscle on a vegan diet, it's you. And my ego jumped out of my heart, and I said, yes, I can do it. I'll figure it out. So that what I did was I committed to 8 weeks of going on a vegan diet and trying to build muscle on it. So maybe I could help other vegans, because I never trained a vegan before. Maybe I could help other vegans do the same thing. Well, about 4 days into it, I'm eating all this vegan food. I'm having a great time doing it. And then all of a sudden I just started feeling this massive just an overwhelming amount of guilt from all of the animals that I killed as a result of paying for the food that I ate. And then I saw my irresponsibility to the earth and the environment. And I thought of all the resources that were just absolutely wasted and destroyed to feed the animals that I ate. I felt this huge amount of pain and guilt. And I just started bawling on day 4. And I cried uncontrollably. I thought, what the heck's happened to me? I thought it was all the estrogen that was being created in my body from all the soy that I was eating. But what was really happening was after 4 days, any trace of any animal products was out of my body. And I was able to finally be empathic and see my real place on the planet and understand my responsibility to the world. And I couldn't imagine myself ever paying money to have another poor innocent being killed, tortured, or murdered again. I couldn't stand the idea of ever paying money to have so many of our Earth's precious resources just completely wasted and obliterated just for something as insignificant as my taste buds. And so I was done. I was from that point, I was never going back. I was never going to eat another piece of meat or drink another dairy product ever again. I was never going to ever hurt an animal. And that was how it started. And the interesting thing was my results were horrible. Oh my goodness. I couldn't build any muscle. I didn't know what I was doing. I was eating nothing but those tofurkey dogs for my protein and eating tons of rice and pasta and beans. And it was crazy. It just wasn't really helping. I was actually losing strength and losing muscle. So it took about 4 different tries or iterations for me to get it right. And I finally did, because your body responds very differently to a vegan diet than a meat eating diet. And I figured out how to crack that code. And that's how I got into creating the podcast and everything. But the reason was because my wife convinced me. She was an ethical vegan. And then after 4 days of being vegan myself, I became an ethical vegan. So when you see all my stuff on the internet, I'm a health guru that is well, let me put it this way. I'm a hardcore animal and environmental rights activist, just masquerading as a health guru.
Wow, that is awesome. And I really appreciate you being so honest about the fact that when you started a vegan diet, you didn't know what you were doing and you lost results. Because I think for me, when I became vegan, was very afraid to admit that I wasn't getting enough protein. I didn't want to tell people, because that's the one excuse that because I was in the bodybuilding community, and of course, oh, you're vegan. It's like, after I figured it out, okay, now I know what's going on. And then I was more honest about it. So I actually wanted to dive in, before we go on to my questions, I want to talk about your wife's lupus. So was she vegan before she had lupus? And if not, how did she go about doing that, fixing it?
Well, when I asked my wife if she wanted to marry me, she hesitated for a second and said, we had only been dating for 3 weeks, but we fell so quickly in love with each other in such an intense way. I mean, she was my soulmate. I could feel that down to the depths of every soul of my body. And she felt the same exact way. And I've never experienced magic on anywhere close to the scale that we had. And we just knew we needed to be together. We absolutely needed to be together. I cried for the animals, but I mean, when I met her and we really started to get to know each other, we were crying constantly out of just massive happiness. And we knew we needed to stay together forever. And so when I asked her, we had actually together, we came together, we had a discussion about marriage, and she said, I don't know if you really want to marry me. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I have a disease that I haven't told you about yet. It's called lupus. Now, I've never heard of lupus. I don't know what that is. So I asked her to explain it to me, and she said that we couldn't have children, It's a disease where her own immune system turns on her and is attacking her own organs. So her own immune system is trying its hardest to kill her. And the medications that she was being forced to take, I mean, she was taking these blood thinners where she had to take a shot and she had to shoot herself right on the side of the hip every single day. And she had to take these other medications that were trying to keep her blood from forming clots, because that's what her immune system wanted to do. Her whole immune system wanted to clot all the blood inside of her body. And so she had to take this medication that was also hurting her, but it was keeping the blood clots from forming because, one time in medical school, when she was going through medical school, she actually got a transient ischemic attack. That's when a little clot actually goes into the brain, which would normally cause a stroke. But luckily, it got dislodged and it kept going. But it almost cost her life. And just that one little speck of hardened blood almost killed her. So they put her on these blood thinners and a bunch of other medications just to try to keep her alive for as long as possible. So she said, I'm not going to have children because I won't be able to have children because, not out of choice, but because with lupus, if you even try to have babies, the pregnancy alone is enough to kill you. It will kill you if you have lupus. It'll kill the baby. It'll kill you too. The second thing she said was, I'm going to start to deteriorate really fast. You're going to have to start taking care of me physically. My joints aren't going to be functional. I'm not going to be able to move very well. I mean, she had already suffered from kidney failure when she was just a little girl, and she had gone through 2 years of chemotherapy to try to reverse. I mean, put into remission, which was reboot the immune system, right, so that it has to start all over again to give her some time to at least live a slightly functional life. And she said, I'm probably going to be dead in the next 10, 15 years max. So all of this was what she had to reveal to me right when we're ready to discuss getting married. And she said it only took about a fraction of a second, but I felt like I sat there and I thought about what do I do? What kind of a cruel trick from God is this? I meet the love of my life, and now I'm going to find out that she's going to be dead, and I'm not going to be able to have babies with her. This is the most awful thing I've ever heard in my life. And then my heart made my mouth move before I could really think more about it. And I said, I'd rather live a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else. And if it's going to be a short life, it's going to be the best damn life you ever had. Right. So that's how I decided to marry a woman with lupus. And I was cherishing every second that I had with her, because I knew the clock was ticking and I wouldn't have a long time. So we had just had an amazing life from that point. Now, she said, okay, if we're going to get married, then I want to get in really, really good shape. And I said, well, you married the right guy. I know how to do that. And so she was a size 10 at the time. I put her on my transformation program. At the time, it was very similar to paleo, before paleo even existed. And it was working great because it was extremely high raw vegetables, high omega-3 fatty acids, and then a high protein component, which was mostly from meat. And it was helping my clients get in really good shape. It's what got me in extremely good shape. And I put her through it, but she was vegetarian. And she was vegetarian for ethical reasons. She read a book, Diet for a New America by John Robbins, and that inspired her and her family to go vegetarian back when she was 12 years old. And so she goes, well, I can't do the meat part. So I said, okay, well, no problem. We'll just make some modifications. I've never done that before, but let's just switch it out with tofu. You can eat tofu instead of the meat. So that's what she did. She went on extremely high raw, high omega-3, and she got the majority of her protein, her extra protein, was coming from tofu. And she did that for 3 months. And in 3 months, she was able to get the same results that I was able to get for all of my other clients. It was awesome. And she went from a size 10 down to less than a size 2-4. And wow, she looked amazing. She got to be in her bikini. We got to go to Maui, and we got all these pictures taken. I mean, she was just so gorgeous. She looked so good. She said it's the best she's ever looked in her entire adult life. And when we got back, she had to get her blood work done with her lupus doctor. And when we got the blood test back, the doctor looked at her and said, you know what, we're going to have to redo this test because the test is showing it's negative for lupus. Now, the medical texts say that lupus is incurable, so this is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. What likely happened, which happens sometimes, is the lab must have switched your results with somebody else's. They must have got the blood mixed up with somebody else's, and that's it. So we're gonna have to do a retest. So a month later, she does a retest. We get the results back. There's no trace of the disease again. And not only that, but her health is even better than it was before. I mean, it was just, now she's got perfect optimal health, and there's no trace of the disease, as if she's never had it in her entire life. And we're puzzled because this never happens. It's not supposed to happen. There's everything in the medical texts show and say that this can't happen, but it did. So at that point, we didn't think that we stumbled upon a cure or anything like that. We just thought, wow, this is great. Your health is awesome. Let's just ride this for as long as we can. And then she said, hey, I want a baby. Now, you got to remember, lupus kills you if you try to have a baby. So I thought she was nuts. And I'm like crying. I'm like, why do you want to kill yourself? You've got the cleanest bill of health you've ever had. Why would you want to do this? And she just felt in her heart. She said, you know what? I trust my body. I can feel it. It's just not the same anymore. And I think I can really do this. And she goes, plus, if there's anything that shows the disease coming back, I'll do what we got to do to protect my life. She goes, trust me, I want to live probably more than you want me to live. And just, so I trusted her. I mean, everybody's flipping out. Even, I mean, you got to imagine her parents had to suffer watching their daughter go through chemotherapy and suffer with this disease that almost killed her. Her parents were also flipping out. Her mom jumped in and said, I'll have the baby. And I thought, no, you're not going to have the baby. That would just be way too weird. But,
super weird.
So we successfully got pregnant, and Brooke went to her OB, and her OB said, whoa. She looked at her chart. She goes, whoa, you got lupus? I can't touch you right now. This is way, 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 way out of the realm. I don't even know why you're still walking. I don't know why you thought it was a good idea to have a baby. This is crazy. I'm going to send you to a high-risk OB, and they're going to get you checked out, and they're going to support you. So we go to the high-risk OB, and the high-risk OB looked at her charts, kicked her out of the office, said, "What are you? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing. There's nothing for me to work with here. You're the healthiest person that's ever walked in these doors, because I only get the sick people. You're nothing close to sick. Get out of here." So we left, and then they sent us to another expert who is supposed to be an expert in lupus, and so we go to that expert, or those type of diseases, and we go to that expert. He does the same thing. It's like, I'm supposed to be treating your lupus, but you don't have lupus. There's nothing for me to do. Get out of my office. So we went back to the OB and showed her what those doctors that she sent us to said. And she said, okay, but chances are the lupus is going to come back maybe by the second or third trimester. Well, she made it through the entire pregnancy. The lupus never came back. Her blood work was perfect. Her health was perfect. We delivered Solomon. Solomon was perfect, had a C-section. Brooke was standing up on her feet the very same day that she gave birth to Solomon. And she had to get a C-section because Solomon was butt first. His head wasn't turned around. So they had to pull him out that way so she got ripped open, got sewed back up, standing on her feet again, like nothing, like it was perfect. And then 9 days later, she lost all of the weight that she gained. So she gained 30 pounds to be able to have Solomon. Lost all the weight she gained, fit right back into her skinny jeans again. And that's when we looked at each other and said, "Whoa, now that's interesting. I think we might have something here." And that's when we realized this is much more than just a cool thing that happened to us. This is a gift, and we need to figure out what we did so that we can share this with the world. So we spent about a year or more reverse engineering the diet that I put her on. Because I was looking back at all the people that I worked with that I put through my program, I don't remember anybody coming up to me saying, "Hey, I reversed and cured this really horrible disease, by the way, and I lost 50 pounds and now I got a six-pack." I've never heard anybody say that. The only disease we've been able to reverse with my diet, again, unintentionally, just happened on accident, but it makes sense why, was just diabetes. We've had a couple people that went through the program that they didn't even reveal to me, but they said, hey, listen, I don't know if you knew this, but I had diabetes. I had my blood work taken right before and then after, and I don't have the disease anymore. Like, wow, that's really cool. I had no idea, though, that we could cure lupus. And it wasn't the old diet that cured it. It was the new one. When we got rid of the meat, it was so powerful that it was able to heal her disease. And that's what we spent a year trying to validate and figure out, and we did. And we figured out the components that really, really made a difference. And we turned it into a system, into a program. And Brooke and I, we founded her wellness company, and she's been helping people reverse their autoimmune diseases, including lupus, also shrinking tumors, also reversing all sorts of inflammatory illnesses with people all over the world with this system. And then we had our second kid, and again, he came out with flying colors. Brooke's health was not touched or compromised for even an instant. And it's been over 10 years now. She's been lupus free. 3 years ago, 3 years ago, the insurance company, we were getting new insurance. Now, Brooke was paying about $600 to $800 a month for her premium because it costs insurance companies a huge amount of money to keep their lupus patients alive. Like, it costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when they looked at Brooke's health, I mean, so trust me, they want to bill it. They want to charge as much as humanly possible for anybody who's got lupus, because they're paying out. It's costing them way more. Well, the insurance company said, you haven't had a disease in 7 years. As far as we're concerned, you don't have the disease. So she pays the same amount that I pay for my insurance premium. I mean, when the insurance company says you don't have a disease, you no longer have a disease. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we had our second kid, and he came out perfect. And now Brooke, she just launched her book, Goodbye Lupus. It became #1 bestseller instantly while we were in Maui. It was amazing. But that's how we got from where we were to where we are now.
Right. That is so inspiring. And I definitely want to go back and talk about the book. But first, I want to ask you, you mentioned that she was in the healthcare industry. And I just want to know your opinion about the conflict between the fact that they're healthcare, but yet they get no nutritional education, and they also give no nutritional advice. So what do you think about that?
So Brooke is a medical doctor, and she's certified in plant-based nutrition through the Cornell program. And she's had a disease and she healed it naturally. So she's a little different. She's a lot different. And she's unique because what she does is, with her work, she uses medications as a tool because it's a tool. It can save your life. Medication saved her life. She would have went into full kidney failure and died, and no amount of broccoli or kale at the time would have been able to save her. So she needed medication at the time. It saved her life. So it's a tool. You got to know when to use it. Yeah. And nutrition is also a tool. It'll heal you. It'll keep you alive. It'll keep you well. And so what Brooke does is she gets patients off of their medications by healing with nutrition. But she might need to use medication to help them fix a problem that's urgent that no amount of nutrition can fix right away. If you're having a heart attack right now at this time, you can't chew on broccoli to get yourself better. You're going to have to take the aspirin, whether you like it or not, if you want to live. You want to live. Then what you do is you eat the kale and the broccoli and you get off the meat so that your heart can heal itself, so you never, and your arteries and your veins can heal themselves so that you never have that problem again. But the healthcare industry, that's a name that the health insurance company gave themselves. A medical doctor does exactly what their title says, medical. They fix your medical issues. And the fastest way to get the result of saving your life right now is with the use of Western medicine. There's nothing that works faster and more effectively, urgently, than Western medicine for a lot of cases. I mean, you've got 3 gunshot wounds to your chest. You better pray that your surgeon knows what he's doing and can fix you up. You better pray that there's a surgeon. No amount of Reiki treatment is going to sew those wounds up fast enough before you bleed out and die. So there's a place for it. It's a tool. I think it's a mistake by the consumer to assume that the doctor should know anything about healing you. I mean, especially, I'm a person where I don't talk philosophical. I talk based on real world results. So if everyone that you've ever known in your entire life who's ever had any treatment for diabetes or a heart attack, every treatment they do, every medication they take, it doesn't make them healthier. Everybody knows that. They've seen their family members just the moment they have the heart attack or the moment that they're diagnosed with diabetes. How many of those people have you ever seen their lives getting better? It's just a slow, painful journey to their grave from that point on. It's downhill. The moment someone is diagnosed with high cholesterol and they start taking cholesterol medications, how many people know other people on medications like that? It's a slow, painful journey to their death. That's what happens. So if you're seeing this, why would you think to go to a doctor to heal you if you've never, ever seen it happen? It makes no sense to me. Yeah. I think doctors are given a bad rap because being married to one and knowing so many different doctors, hanging out. I used to do my homework when I was getting my master's degree for exercise science. I used to go in the psychiatric emergency room and hang out with Brooke in the resident little station. And so I got to know these doctors. All of them want to help people. That's why they got into the medical profession. You can't make a lot of money as a doctor. So there's about 1,000 other ways to make the same amount of money that a doctor does, which requires you not having to go into debt, which requires you not having to spend 12 years of the best years of your life studying your brains out just to have the right to be able to save people's lives. That, like, people don't do that because they're greedy or they're trying to rip people off. Nobody makes that kind of sacrifice just to screw other people over. It's not the doctors. Doctors are passionate. They want to help people, but they're limited to what they know how to do. They go to medical school so they can learn how to use medicine and Western medicine to be able to save lives. That's it. That's all you got them for. If they're not doing their job doing that, then you've got something to complain about. But when you ask them, when you assume or demand that they should know something about nutrition, well, they didn't pay $250,000. When they paid $250,000, the medical school didn't teach them about nutrition. They didn't teach them about plant-based nutrition. They didn't teach them about all that stuff. You got to understand that that's up to the medical schools. And you got to look at what influences the curriculum of the medical schools, not the doctors or the doctors trying to make up what their intentions are. It's ridiculous. No, it's the healthcare industry, which is run by what? You've got to do the research to figure that out. Right. Could it possibly be that the big drug companies might give donations to certain medical schools that might influence the curriculum a little bit because maybe eventually they want those doctors to buy drugs? I mean there might be a reason for that, but I don't think anybody goes into that with that in their mind when they say, hey, look, I want to save lives and I also want to support the drug companies. I don't know a single medical doctor that ever said that to me.
Right.
Doctors don't get paid, by the way. They don't get kickbacks and they don't get paid by drug companies. It's illegal. They will lose their license if they're ever caught doing that. So, the doctors are the ones that are getting pooped on in the worst way possible when people get mad at them for not knowing nutrition. Brooke was the only female physician that spoke on stage at the International Plant-Based Healthcare Nutrition Conference that just took place in Anaheim recently. And when she spoke on stage and told her story about how she's healing and reversing this disease with nothing more than supermarket food, there was over 500 medical doctors in that room that wanted to learn how to use a plant-based diet to better serve their patients. You wouldn't believe how many hundreds of them rushed the stage just to talk to her, to say, I can't believe you got those results. You need to teach me this so I can do that with my patients. I've never gotten results like that with my patients. These doctors want to learn this information. It's just not taught to them, and it's not their fault. You get it? They only know what they know, and they've spent 12 years having that drilled in their mind that the only way they know how to do stuff is with Western medicine.
Right, and I really like that answer, but I definitely see the future of the natural healing and the Western medicine really coming together and becoming one mecca of healthcare industry. But I really enjoyed that answer. It was different, and I'm really glad you said that. So when you became vegan, that was, like you said, 7 years ago? 7 years ago?
No. When I became vegan, that was, I think 4 years ago.
Okay.
When I became vegan.
What top 5 side effects have you noticed besides obviously the basics like better energy and whatnot?
The first one, so the whole reason I decided, when I was bawling and crying on day 4, there was a major spiritual shift inside of me. I became, my wife's always been a hippie, and I loved and adored that about her. And me, up to that point, I could not care any less about the environment, about the animals. You know, when I look back and when I think back at my thoughts, I mean, I'm just ashamed of myself for ever thinking those things. Whenever someone came up to me and said, hey, you shouldn't eat meat, or it's not natural to eat meat, I said, what do you mean it's not natural? It's survival of the fittest, bitches. You know, that's our right to be able to eat meat. And man, when I look at that now, I realized, wow, I think subconsciously I was just defending my reasons. That was it. I was just defending my reasons. And maybe there was a part of me that knew that it was wrong. And you know, the best thing I could describe it is once the meat's out of my system, I just made up a theory. I don't know if it's right, but I just feel that I believe that whatever I eat, there's a biological switch that turns off my empathy and sympathy for whatever I'm eating, because I'm just thinking about carnivores in the wild. If a cheetah chasing down a gazelle for 1 second thought about, you know, this gazelle is probably a mother. It's probably got little baby gazelles that depend on her, and they're going to be so sad if I kill their mother and eat their mother. Maybe I just won't. You know what? I feel bad about myself. I'm not going to chase that gazelle. I'm not going to eat it. The cheetah will die. It won't do what it's got to do to be able to eat and live. So I think the same thing was happening with me. When the meat's in my system, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for me to feel empathy for animals. Once it was gone, all of a sudden, I can't feel anything but empathy all the time. I mean, to the point where it was so painful that I had to create a whole podcast just to be able to express my pain through it. I'm not exaggerating. That's what happened. The other thing is the other side effect was I noticed I've never been able to produce gains as quickly than on a vegan diet, and that shocked me. When I did my 5th experiment on muscle building, I'm going to do another one. Never in my life have I been able to gain so much strength so fast, so much mass so fast. Even when I was hardcore meat eating and trying to gain mass back then, it was insane how quickly I was able to produce results. It was amazing. It was an unbelievable side effect. I love that. Another side effect was this is not a good side effect, because I couldn't believe how quickly I lost my gains. The moment I stopped lifting heavy and eating enormous amounts of food, my muscles would adapt so quickly down to, I mean, they would just shrink really, really fast, which is a sign of a really, really optimally functioning metabolism. So good metabolisms, if you have a good metabolism, you can build muscle really fast, but you'll also lose it really fast. Metabolism is a measure of how much change your body is able to create within a period of time. So on a vegan diet, you can create lots of change really fast, but it'll go both ways. It'll go both ways. So you're in total control of that. So I didn't like that. That was the downside of it. I remember when I was eating meat, I could fall off the wagon for weeks at a time, get back in the gym like it never even happened. But if I so much as stop lifting for 1 week, you can already see it off. Okay, cool. The 4th one, I love this. This was so convenient, and it immediately, the first day that I was vegan, I already liked it, because when I was eating meat before, and I was a full-time personal trainer at the time, and so I'd be driving around town meeting with my clients, and I'd bring my food with me. But it was a pain in the butt, because I had to keep my food cool, because there was meat and there was fish in it. So I had to keep it cool so that I wouldn't kill myself from having food poisoning. And then every time I wanted to eat, I had to heat it up just to be extra safe. So I had to find a microwave or something to heat my food. It was a pain in the butt. It was a whole process, a whole production. With vegan food, oh my goodness. I was eating the tofurkey dogs. I don't do that anymore, but I could just buy packages of tofurkey and just keep them in my car on my front seat. And every time it was time for me to eat, I just rip it open and just eat it. There's no heat up required. Vegan food tastes the same pretty much. A lot of vegan food tastes the same whether you heat it up or not. It's perfect, and there's very, like, the bacteria that could be forming on it. it grows so slow compared to meat products because there's already so much bacteria in meat products. And but with plant-based foods, there's not as much. So I mean, you can leave. I could just have the food out all day long, unrefrigerated, and it's good. It's fine. Oh my goodness, that was a game. That was so cool because it just allowed me to express my inner laziness. Because before I had to package all my food, put it into containers, make sure it's cool and all that stuff. It's all organized. I had to, like, all these dishes to wash. Now I could just buy a freaking salad kit and keep it in the bag. I don't need to keep it cool anywhere. I could buy like the thing of tofurkey and just leave it on my car seat and it would be fine all day. It was the best. So I love that aspect of it, is that I don't have to be, I'm not as afraid of my food as much as I was with my meat, because I was scared to death to eat my meat because, you know, I didn't know how much bacteria was in it, you know, all that stuff. So that was really, really cool. The fifth side effect was being able to really connect with more people. My heart, my chest was just cracked open once I became vegan, and I now, when I connect with people and I make friends and meet people, I wear my heart way out here. I can't help it because I'm just keeping it inside, and with all that guilt and pain with the animals, it's just I have to. That's just who I am now. I wear my heart out here, and I've been able to attract just some of the most amazing people in my life, including you. And it's just helped me create some of the greatest, most valuable friendships that I've ever had.
Man, you're so awesome, and your answers are so unique and inspiring, because all that's very true, and I've never thought about it. And also, sometimes when you stop talking, I forget to talk because I feel like I'm listening to your podcast, and I'm like just watching you talking, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, this is pretty close to how I do my podcast. I just chat, and I go on a monologue, and there you go. There's an episode.
Wow. Okay. So I'm super inspired right now. Well, I want to talk about the beginning and the transitioning of going vegan. I want to know, did you go vegan immediately 100%, or did you transition into it? And what was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
Well, you already told us that. So it was what I did. So what I did was I told my wife, I'll do this 8-week little vegan thing and see how much muscle I can build. I'll figure it all out. So I said, I'm going to start on Monday. I had a big fat steak dinner on Sunday, became vegan on Monday, and never looked back. So, and it was easy. It was actually, I couldn't believe how easy it was.
Right.
It was actually harder before I was vegan because I was imagining how much I was going to hate it. And when I was actually doing it, it was more convenient. I loved vegan food. And I felt great about it. I felt better about myself about it. So I didn't overcome any challenges. It was actually an upgrade.
Right. And it's really,
if there was any challenge, it was just because I didn't know what I was doing to build muscle. And that was just I had to change my skill set a little bit. I knew how to build muscle on meat, but I didn't know how to build muscle on a vegan diet. So I just had to change my skill sets a little bit, and that took a lot of trial and error. Back at the time, there weren't a lot of resources. There weren't enough resources available that I could use. So I, unfortunately, back then I had to figure out there's a ton of resources available. It's very easy to learn how to do that.
Isn't it great what love will inspire you to do? I mean, to give up animal products is pretty much.
That was my ego. That was my ego that convinced me to do that first, was, my wife putting me up to the challenge. Hey, if there's anybody that can figure it out, it's you. So it was my ego first, and then it was my heart and my love that has carried it forward since. So the baton was passed from my ego to my heart, and that's where it stays, and that's where it'll always come from.
So I want to talk about soy. I really want to get your insight on soy. How do you feel about it?
I love soybeans. I love tempeh. I love tofu. What I'm not a big fan of, and only because I've tested this, so when I say love, let's just talk about the health implications and the possible health implications and the results that I've had. Soy protein powder, I've tested that head to head with whey protein. This is way back in the day, just because when I met Brookes, she was eating soy protein powder, and so I tried some of that. I'm like, hey, I like that there's a weird aftertaste when I ate whey protein. I didn't like that, but I ate it anyway because it just seemed to work. And then when I tried the soy protein, I'm like, whoa, it actually tastes better than whey, and there's no weird aftertaste. But I don't know if it's actually working to build my muscles because I'm actually not seeing the same results anymore. So I tested it on a bunch of my students that I was putting through transformation programs. The group that did the whey protein, they smoked the group that did the soy protein. So I've come to my conclusion that soy protein isolate is not the same as a soybean, tofu, or tempeh. I've never been able to get it to get really good results for me or my clients. I've talked to a lot. I've met a lot of really amazing people, a lot of really cool people. I was talking to Dr. Jameth Sheridan of Warrior Force, and he's got a lot of knowledge in this stuff. And he was telling me that he actually has the research studies to back up exactly what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, it's all the studies that showed that there was all these negative side effects in health and performance and so on. Those were all done with soy protein isolate, not on actual tofu or soybeans or tempeh. And I thought, wow, that's perfect because I can get huge on tofu, tempeh, and soybeans. Soybeans, I discovered that soybeans work great many, many years ago. I helped one of my clients. I helped him. He got on the front cover of three different men's fitness publications, Fitness RX, and then two other ones. I just don't. It was a long time ago. I don't remember the names of the other one. But the first one was Fitness RX because that's a big one. And then there was another magazine in Italy, all in the same month. I mean, he was shredded beyond belief. And it was, I was his trainer. I helped him get there. I designed his program for him and everything. And to make it more convenient for him, because he just didn't eating tons and tons of meat, half of his protein, I just had him eat it from soybeans. And, he didn't have any issues. The big fear is you're going to have these, bitch tits from estrogen and things like that. Not true. It doesn't, the results don't show that. I mean, if it were true, it would show up in real life, but it doesn't. So, if you talk to all the vegan bodybuilders who eat tons of tofu and tempeh, they wouldn't be winning first place in their contests if there really was an estrogen problem. So soy protein isolate seems to be the culprit when it comes to a form of soy that produces little to negative effects on your health and your body transformation. Tofu, tempeh, and soybeans, I think, are amazing.
Wow. Okay. So, man, that's really interesting. Even long term, I just want to clarify, long term is still in the go for everything else but the isolate.
I'm half Asian, and I lived in Japan. I was born in Taiwan. I live in Seoul, Korea. Japan, the population there eats tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of tofu. And despite their huge, Japan is one of the most stressed out nations on the planet. Their workload over there is crazy, and it's an incredibly dense city, which creates a lot of stress for the people who live there. And their death rates are no worse than any other really dense metropolitan area in just about anywhere in the world. So the tofu doesn't really seem to be having an effect on them. I've been eating tofu my entire life, never had a single problem.
So for all the new vegans that are out there that are listening to this, what are some suggestions that you give them whenever they start posting inspiring things or animal activist things on their social medias and they get comments like bacon or bacon though, or, what do you suggest? How do you handle it? And how do you suggest people handle it?
There's nothing to handle. Someone wrote a word. What's the big deal? Bacon. It's a word. I'm a big fan of vegan bacon. I love vegan bacon. I love the taste of it. It's amazing. But yeah, you have to understand, if you inspired somebody to take the time, energy, and effort to write a response like that, that means that they read it. And if it inspired them to do that, if that person really didn't care, they wouldn't have done anything. You got to realize people only do stuff out of reaction because you actually hit a chord with them. That means you're getting through to them. I've known some of our biggest fans were once the greatest opposition. They were struggling. I mean, that's what it is when a lot of people react by trying to cut you down or saying mean things, and all they're doing is trying to protect their own little value set because they actually fear losing it. That means there's a part of them that believes it might be gone. They might actually change their mind. And the other part of them that's writing those comments is doing everything they can to hold on. Look, if you're really secure, if you're really confident, you wouldn't even feel inspired to react. It's like if a 3-year-old comes up to me and says, you should eat meat. I'm just gonna look and laugh, oh, that's so cute, and then just live my day. I mean, there's nothing about that. If you're really secure and confident with your own beliefs and values, then anybody else's opinion wouldn't even matter to you. So again, continue to post that stuff, especially if it's getting comments, especially if it's getting negative comments. Negative comments are amazing. That's great. That means somebody read what you wrote and it touched them enough to make them react to you.
Wow. You're awesome. Okay, so you're just so aware of everything. It's nice to talk to somebody who's so conscious. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how do you feel about SeaWorld and zoos? And if your kids were to go on the zoo, a zoo, what do they call them these days? Vacation for schools. Like, what do they call them? I haven't been in school in so long.
Yeah. So we're ethical vegans. It's our purpose and goal to protect as many of those animals as possible. I don't like zoos. I don't like the concept of zoos. I don't believe we have the right to enslave animals for our entertainment or any reason at all. We should be protecting them, not enslaving them, and not making them a public spectacle, not ripping them from their homes, not bringing them up in captivity. I'm anti-zoo. I'm anti-pet, unless they're a rescue because we brought this poor animal against its will into our world. So it's our duty to serve that animal because we can't just let a dog go out in the wild that's been raised domestically in captivity. So I don't believe in pets. I don't believe in zoos, and we don't take our kids to zoos. We don't take our kids to SeaWorld, and we don't support any of that. So yeah, if there's a zoo trip at school, first of all, the whole school is going to get a whole lecture on why that's an irresponsible thing to do, and our kid's not going to participate, and our money is not going to go towards supporting that. So that's that. If we want to visit animals, the way we visit animals is we go to animal and farm sanctuaries. So everywhere we go and we find an animal sanctuary or farm sanctuary that are helping these poor animals that were abused and were dumped off the side of the street. And we connect with them and just try to let them know that humans can be good and humans can be their protectors and they can be safe with us. We were just in Maui. We spent a month in Maui. We went to the Leilani Animal Sanctuary over there. It was just absolutely gorgeous. We got to meet this deer that wouldn't stop following me around everywhere I went, these donkeys and pigs and all the animals on it. They had just an amazing life. I mean, you got to imagine, if you're going to be a farm animal that is rescued somewhere, you want to be rescued by Leilani because they've got these acres of just gorgeous Hawaiian rainforest land that has like star fruit growing on the trees. That, I mean, the animals just have the life there. It's amazing. And that's what we support. And we support it in a way that's going to help more of those animals. The director was taking us through a tour of the place, and they were showing us the different buildings, and they're saying this site right here is going to be the site for our 24-hour emergency room for animals, because nothing like that exists on the entire island of Maui. If there's an animal that's in severe danger and really hurt, well, its only chance is it's got to be flown to the next island to get the treatment that it needs, and usually that doesn't happen because by the time they get it there, the animal won't be able to make it. And so that really spoke to my heart. I looked at that like, wow, that's amazing. So when's that going to be built? They said, well, we don't have the donations. We don't have enough money yet for that. And so I thought, that's a shame. How much is it? And they told us, and I said, we got it. We got it. And so we were able to write the director a check, and now they're going to be able to build an animal emergency room right there on Maui for the first time.
Oh my gosh, Thomas, that is so awesome.
Thank you.
Woo!
Yeah.
A little
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really, really cool.
Yes. Both of my dogs have been hit by cars, and I couldn't even imagine not having an emergency room there. So I'm just so grateful that you did that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, for the newbies again, because the whole reason for my podcast is to bring normalization, and I use that very loosely because what is normal, right? To bring normalization to veganism, because a lot of people in my life don't think that being vegan is normal. Obviously, they think being vegan means you're a hippie and have dreads and you want to like cuddle with the zebras, which who doesn't want to cuddle with the zebra? They're awesome. But I just want to show people, that it's normal. And with all the food and the restaurants and the food trucks that are coming out, it's way easier to be vegan. So with that being said, what are your favorite brands of cheese and ice cream that you would recommend people go out and get at Whole Foods or something popular?
I've been vegan for a little over 4 years, and I remember exactly what it was like and who I was before I was vegan. So I can go back and forth, and I know what you're talking about, normal. When you say normal, is how do you appear to be like everybody else while still doing something that seems so outrageous by other standards? I'm going to tell you, it's number one, just embrace the fact that you are going to start moving in that direction when you really, really go into this journey. I mean, just everybody I know eventually starts turning more and more into a hippie and doing more and more things that just, yeah, they're weird. And the only reason they're weird is because not everybody, it's not common. That's all it is. Just be okay with that. I don't see what the problem is. I don't see what's wrong with that. It's just who you are and it's what you do. And soon, if things keep going the way they're going, everybody's going to be vegan, and the people eating meat are going to be the weird ones. And it's just a shift in perspective. That's all it is. But one of my favorite brands, it's just whatever my wife makes. I don't know. I'm like a caveman when it comes to food. I go to Costco and I get the big ass bag of greens because I know how to make smoothies. I get the bulk like fruit and vegetables, but I don't buy processed foods really. I don't. Like when it comes to cheese, my wife, she wrote an article in the November-December issue of Vegan Health and Fitness magazine, and it was entitled "The Holy Grail of Veganism." It's cheese. How to make vegan cheese. The Holy Grail, right? And so my wife, she's got vegan cheese recipes. I mean, it only takes her just a few minutes. Like she just whips it up in the Vitamix and boom, now she's got nacho cheese. Does another thing, boom, now she's got this like Gouda cheese thing. I mean, she knows how to make cheese on her own. And I guess, yeah, we used to use Daiya cheese, and the stuff my wife makes at home, Brooke, I mean, it tastes better, but yeah, I've never been a cheese person. Every woman I know is a cheese person, so I guess that's an important question to answer. I'm probably not the right person to answer that question. I would recommend get that article, call up and ask for Brenda Carey at Vegan Health and Fitness and say, I want that vegan cheese recipe. Oh, because she's also got her vegan Alfredo sauce recipe in there, which that's a game changer. If you want to convert people to going vegan who won't be vegan, just feed them that, and there's going to be no more questions asked about it. It's a game changer. But yeah, what other brands of foods are you talking about?
Ice cream.
Other categories?
Do you have any favorite ice cream?
You know what? I'm definitely the wrong person to ask about brands because I'm not loyal to any brands.
Right.
I'm loyal to product, and I am loyal to whatever tastes the best. That's it. It's just whatever is the best or tastes the best. That's what I like. It could change tomorrow. I'm not loyal to any brand. I'm only going to buy stuff from, whoever the makers of Coconut Bliss are. They were my favorite ice cream for a very, very long time. And then Nada Moo came around, and now I like their ice cream more than Coconut Bliss.
Yes.
But again, there's nothing wrong with Coconut Bliss. I just like whatever I like the best, and I don't care who makes it.
Right. So we're going to jump into some personal questions. We only have a few more minutes left, and I just want to get to know you a little bit more. I'm truly inspired by you and your wife's story, because usually when people get engaged after 3 weeks, I mean, that's just two crazy people being crazy.
Right.
And it doesn't go anywhere. Right. So just truly inspiring. You might have told me, but I might have just lost track with all the talking we've been doing. So how did you and your wife meet?
She picked me up at a bar.
Go her.
It was a Thursday night. I never go out on Thursday nights. I owned a fitness studio back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a friend of mine was really depressed, and he begged me to come out with him and spend some time with him. So I did. I went out to this really nice lounge in Pittsburgh, and Brooke, she was on a date with another guy, and this guy took her to the same place that I was. And anyway, Brooke told me that date didn't go so well afterwards. I didn't know that. I didn't even know, but I noticed Brooke because she sat on a bar stool, and I recognized her because we went to the same college together. And I looked at her because I recognized she was a sorority sister of my ex-girlfriend. So they knew each other. And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, I know you. You look familiar." She goes, "You do too." And then we just talked the whole night. And the other guy was gone, and that was it. I mean, once we talked that night, we were pretty much inseparable from that point on. It was just hanging out with each other every single day from that point on.
Wow. And your kids have obviously been raised vegan, but are there any challenges that you'll have? Do they ever come home and say, "We feel different," or someone made fun of me today?
Yeah, Solomon's my older child. He just turned 7 just the other day.
Wow.
And he is a hardcore animal rights activist. He teaches and lectures the whole class and his friends about veganism. He wears his animal rights t-shirts to school all the time. And what it does is it's actually generating a lot of curiosity. Like the other day, I brought in, Brooke baked some vegan cupcakes, and I brought those in to celebrate his birthday with all of his classmates. And his classmates loved it. But nobody's really made fun of him or tried to hurt him or anything like that. Except there was one time it broke. This ripped my heart out of my chest. He told me this story. He said he was in the car and he started telling this story, and then it just started bringing tears, and he started crying. And he said that there's these 2 kids at the playground, and there's this beetle, and they kept like kicking sand with a stick at the beetle and running away scared. And Solomon's going, "Don't do that. Leave it alone. Don't do that. Leave it alone." And then one of the kids, the way Solomon described it, he said, "I don't know why they did this, but they took the stick and they just pushed it into its body until there was just nothing left." And he was just in tears crying. And I was almost crying at this point. And we just had to tell him over and over, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. Things like that may happen. And, you tell a teacher when that happens, let the teacher know how that made you feel, everything. And you did your best to try to stop it, but it was 2 of them. And, but the good part of the story is that we found out we were asking him more questions because he really needed to process it. And he said that, the beetle was just there by itself. It was sleeping on its back. We're like, "Wait a minute, it was on its back?" He said, "Yeah." "Was it even moving?" No, it was sleeping." "Oh, Solomon, when bugs die, they some reason flip over. There's a good chance it was already dead." And he felt so much better about that.
Right.
But that was the only story that I can think of right now where he had it was kind of traumatizing for him, where he had any sort of challenge. My other son, Alex, I mean, he's just he's like this stocky bulldozer of a kid. He's like a creature. He's just this monstrous, strong, like, don't mess with me little 3-year-old. Nobody messes with him. That's all I can say. Solomon, our neighbors across the street, Solomon helped turn one of our neighbors again. He walks in there, and they're hunters, and they've got like the heads of a bunch of animals all in their garage, and they invited us over just to hang out and chat. Solomon walks in, he's got his hands on his waist, and he goes, "Who killed all of these animals?" Like, pissed. He's like 4 years old at the time, and it was so funny. Instead of these adults like just blowing him off, they started squirming out of discomfort, like, and they threw they threw the person under the bus that did it. And it's like the daughter, like, she did it, not me. It wasn't me. She did it. She's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was crazy. He's just got an amazing presence about him, an amazing conviction, and he's not meek or weak about his stance in life and the message that he wants to share.
Wow. So you're raising two ethical vegans who just sound amazing and super, they're very empaths, it sounds like. I wanted to ask you, what's your sign? This is totally off topic.
I'm Virgo.
I'm a Virgo. Okay, very nice.
And Brookes and Aquarius.
Okay, that works really well. So that's awesome. One last question, and it's about your podcast. It's kind of a two-parter because I want to squeeze them in. I love how I just love your podcast, and you talk about how you stopped working out just to hypertrophy, if I'm saying that word right, just
Atrophy.
to lose muscle. Atrophy.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, because how many people do you know actually do their own programs that they put out there? So I just commend you for that. But could you just put me through the mental process of that? Like, how, as an athlete, can you stop working out and just do that?
It wasn't the first couple times were pretty hard. I really wanted to get to the gym, and I wanted to work out, and it was really, really, really difficult to see my body just getting weaker and a little fatter and weaker and more fat. That was hard. It affected my self-esteem. It affected my own self-confidence, and I couldn't wait to do the transformation. The first time I did it, it wasn't my intention. I got out of shape because I was struggling to put all these vegan fitness and muscle building programs together, but I was failing at them. They just weren't working. And so that was about a 9-month process. So it was 9 months, my body's just getting worse and worse and worse. Again, that wasn't intentional at all. And then when I finally figured out, I built all of it back. The second time was hard for me because I spent almost, I guess, like 8 or 9 months trying to get out of shape. And it was hard because it was really, really hard. Like I thought I was just going to try to eat mostly junk. I'd find myself eating some healthy foods time to time. It just took a long time, and I couldn't wait to get on a transformation program. And I finally did, and it was great. But when I finished, I got sensational results. I was so happy, but I realized I didn't really quite get all the way. I didn't really, really do it. And this was kind of neat, because I kind of felt, I don't know if I was really as bad off as I thought I was. Well, when I say that, I mean, I wanted to start from such a baseline that anybody on the planet could say, oh, wow, I can relate to that. That's where I am right now. But the feedback I got from all my YouTube viewers and stuff, like, you're already in pretty good shape before you started. I'm like, no, I wasn't. Not for me. I wasn't. And that was it. It was just not for me. It was not for me. And so that kind of hurt because I did all that work to put all those videos together and everything to prove that. So I haven't. So I'm doing another one. Just I think this. I said last time was the last time I'm going to do it because it's emotionally. It's gut wrenching because one of the things I got out of it was I can finally relate to my clients. I can finally relate to the people that are asking for my help. And I know now what it feels like to want to hide, I know what it feels like to not want to take my shirt off. I know what it feels like to want to kind of not take pictures of myself because I'm actually embarrassed. I never understood that. I never got that until now, because wow, it was amazing. All the weird, all the emotional stuff started coming up. Like, I am supposed to be this, but now I'm here and I can't show the world that. I can't let the world down. What are people going to think of me and stuff like that? Like, wow, all those thoughts are going through my head. This is what people go through every day that suffer from this. So I've become a lot more relatable since going through that process. And I haven't really committed to a hard body transformation or exercise routine, or even a good, hardcore, healthy diet. I've been eating like crap for a long time. So I can, in all sincerity, say that I'm right now in the worst shape that I've ever been in my entire adult life. And I'm going to keep going a little bit further. I mean, it's so bad where like, if I play with my kids a little bit, I'm out of breath. I am physically out of shape. I want to look more out of shape, even a little more. I know it sounds like, and you know what, part of it is like strategic. The other part is I really am right now. I'm just too damn lazy to even want to go to the gym. The gym scares me right now. Working out scares me right now. It's all the thoughts that a lot of people have that are suffering from it. I get it. I've got those thoughts right now. And I also know that when you become in really good shape, because when I was in good shape, those thoughts never came to my head. In fact, I couldn't wait to go to the gym. I couldn't wait to get my workout in. I couldn't wait to get in that environment. There's a physiological shift that happens. And so I know what it's like to be on both sides.
And when is your starting date?
I don't know. It's gotta be soon, because I committed to something. I committed to doing it's some vegan event that's happening, I think in June, in somewhere in California, and they're gonna have a stage. It's not a bodybuilding contest. It's like a vegan like festival or something like that. Brookes gonna be speaking, and I'm gonna and I was asked if I could get up on stage and take my shirt off and flex my muscles to show people that. So I better have some muscles to show by then. So I'm gonna get started pretty soon.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're a little bit past time, but I literally could ask you questions for days. I just really, really want to thank you for everything that you're doing for the vegan community.
You're
really
welcome.
just praise you. Not praise you, but just give you gratitude.
I love praise. I love gratitude. Thank you. Thank you.
So I really am so excited to watch you on your next transformation, and I'll be following on your YouTube. Could you just go ahead and give everyone your YouTube handles and your Facebook and your Instagram, everywhere they can read it?
Let me just give you one easy place to get all of it. You just go to amazingfitnessandhealth.com. Just go there. You'll be able to see all my social media links and contact information, programs, everything is right there. Just go to amazingfitnessandhealth.com.
Awesome. Okay, well, it was good seeing you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again. I can't wait to meet your wife. I will.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Danny.
Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions about becoming vegan, or you're wanting to be on the podcast, please contact me at any social media. Dark Sunshine, DARKSUNSH 9. I cannot wait to meet you.